Hey guys, Sean here. Today I wanted to look at SK. They recently announced that Fallen is no longer going to be in-game leading and Cold Sear is going to take over. So I was kind of curious as to why that would be the case. So I looked at the recent land results, right? And as you can see, what I found was that their Mirage seems to be a huge problem for them right now. And it's not just their Mirage in general. Their CT side seems fine. Their T side, though, has been horrible. But it's not for the reasons that I thought it would be when they acquired Stewie from Cloud9. I thought their late game would suffer, their communication would lapse. No, it's actually quite the opposite. Their early game is a huge problem right now on their squad. So what I noticed over these three demos, because these are the three demos I looked at, was they got entry killed 5 times or more in all 3 games in regulation. That is incredible. Like that is something that I don't think I'd ever hear myself say when watching SK. Their fundamentals are just so strong. It's very hard to get picks on them playing against them. That is one thing that I hated as in-game leader is, looking for the pick against SK. You just never felt like you were able to do it. They were always really aware of what you were going for, but that hasn't been the case lately on Mirage. So I wanted to look at, one game in particular. We're going to look at the Greyhound game. And with that being said, I mean, you could find the same exact things in the Tylo Metasports game. But I think the Greyhound game does a really good job of showing, the problems aren't even just on like one quadrant of the map. People are getting pushed at B, A, middle. So I think what SK is going for by having Cold in-game lead is just, simplifying things a lot. Not having so much, complications in the early round, not being super slow in the early round. Because honestly, if they could just get into the bomb sites and get in 3-on-3s, 2-on-2s, they are still excellent in those scenarios. That is one thing that I learned from watching these games is that when it's possible, which it hasn't been very often if you watch the Mirage games, they will win those. So yeah, without further ado, let's hop into the Greyhound game and I'll show you guys what I found looking at all these demos. And honestly, what I say in this demo, like I said, you could probably also find those same things in the other ones. So let's take a look. Okay, so here we have SK versus Greyhound. And a lot like Tyloo, they have a massive lead. They just won T-Pistol. So against Tyloo, they're actually up 12-5 when they lost an Eco round and things are spiraled out of control. Here against Greyhound, they're up 12-6. They won T-Pistol, the first gun round. And this is kind of where things just start falling apart for SK. And that can be said for literally all of their Mirage games so far that I've seen. So let's take a look at this first gun round, see what goes wrong. This is actually where things go wrong in mid. They tried to be a little bit more aggressive this round, and it just doesn't really pan out for them. So we're gonna come towards mid. Actually, get X-ray on. So speeding things up a little. So what they're going for right now is they're trying to just free up Cold Sear a bit by having him go up cat. So you can see they smoke top mid, they molly window. But the gap is actually going to be open for connector because they don't throw a connector Molotov on this particular play, which then opens up Fallen for getting picked right there. So that's the opening advantage already to Greyhound. And then you can see Cold going up cat, gets the entry on connector, but is immediately traded. So they're in a disadvantageous scenario right off the bat. Of course, they're going to lose this round. And let's fast forward to the next round. So here we have yet another gun round. They're going to, give a completely different look again. And this time, the victim of the early round aggression is going to be Bolts. So Bolts is playing close A ramp. He's just your standard A lurker. He's been doing this for a long time now for SK. So he's just waiting behind the A ramp smoke. And he has a pretty good read on the situation. You see him kind of looking into the wall here and there. Pop flash comes in, and he gets killed. Everything just falls apart right off the bat. So, all right, let's go into the next round. So they end up losing that round, and here we have a half buy going towards B. So this time, Stu's going to be going towards B with the team. They're getting ready to exec. Stuck behind a molly. You can see he's just, as the entry fragger, wants to get a little bit ahead of his teammates. But he can't because they're unfortunately blocking him. Another weird kind of problem in the early stages of the round. You can see how things are just kind of like stacking up right now. Okay, so the next round is one of the very few rounds that SK actually got an opening kill that wasn't traded, and they lost. pretty much throughout all of the games I watch, when they get this opening kill that's not traded, they're great at converting that point into a round. It just doesn't happen very often. So we're going to see what happens here and why it kind of goes really, really badly for them. So Cold is going to actually get a 2K on the guys pushing a ramp, right? He gets blind, gets this 2K. And it's honestly not... So Stewie actually doesn't have 20 health here. It's a demo glitch. But SK could have easily rolled into the A bomb site immediately. And I think that's what Stewie is thinking that they would do. Because that's more of like a Cloud9 type play. You know, you kill 2 people in the A bomb site. You assume 2 people are by the B bomb site. You just snowball the A bomb site 4-on-1 and get that next kill, right? So he's thinking that's probably the next play. And I understand why he's going to make this play, but it looks silly looking at it in hindsight. So he's just going to run up mid and die. But that's not what SK wanted to do. You can see they were actually opting to fall back and, you know, play the 5-on-3 with map control. But when Stewie dies, they kind of get pigeonholed into taking the site. And you can see everything just kind of falls apart. This is one of the few rounds they lost actually with a man advantage. But I just thought it would be, you know, kind of cool to show you guys that. There are 2 ways to play that round in the 5-on-3, and I'm not saying either person was right or wrong, but you can tell what Stu was thinking compared to what the team was doing, and yeah. So here we have an eco, so I'm gonna skip this. They just kind of get slaughtered going to the A site, and let's see. So here we have a top mid default, and if you're watching the early round when Cold ran up Cat, fallen through 2 flashes for him. And this is something SK has done for a long time now, right? A very long time. They throw 2 flashes basically where the camera is right now, like over in this area. And what it does is it stops people from getting aggressive cat kills. They don't throw that this round. And unfortunately, because of that, you can see that 1 flash doesn't blind Gratisfaction for that long. He ends up killing Stewie. You can see the trades try to come out and they immediately get killed. Yet again, just like another weird early round scenario that could be totally avoided. And that's like the theory that I'm trying to come up with right here is I don't think SK is as bad as these results seem. It's not. They're not going to keep ending up on the bad side of these trades. They're not going to miss that flashbang for the next 5 games. You know, like this is very, very easy to fix stuff for them. And I think there's still a huge contender to take, you know, the top 1 to 3 spots in the world, even with Stewie, because people seem to think that that's like ruining their team. I don't think that at all. I think they're going to come back stronger. Like it's going to happen. So let's keep watching, and I'll keep showing you guys. Let's see. So they actually do a late split next round, so they don't actually die. They just lose a late split the next round. This round's a little bit interesting. So what ends up happening here is it is another round where Fur does get an entry, but what happens is his team is pigeonholed into hitting the bomb site where the entry isn't at, right? So you can see why this goes wrong. It goes wrong because Greyhound has the best setup possible. Given where this entry occurred, you can see like they try to pull, you know, the mid guys off of mid. They throw smoke smallies in mid for Fur to get in this aggressive position. The 2 guys that were at mid are now going back towards the A site, and Fur is going to be the entry man coming up connector. So when he gets that kill on the cat guy, there's still 3 people around the A bomb site. You can see like it's not a super favorable scenario for SK once Fur dies, which is actually the very second this kill happens. Now, if Fur would have lived in that scenario, I agree, that would have been an excellent play to make. But when he dies and they're forced in that scenario, it's just not the best scenario for them to be running into at that point. So that is like, again, one of those weird scenarios where they didn't play the pick properly. But I think these 2 rounds are maybe the only times actually in all 3 demos that I saw that this occurred. So I don't think that this is an overarching problem within their team at all. There's an eco that they actually end up winning thanks to a miraculous cold clutch. Standard cold stuff. And here we have again this cat opera. And this, honestly, this opera has plagued SK massively in these 3 matches that I watched. They just can't seem to push this guy back. It's very bizarre that a team as structured as SK is having such difficulties with this particular position. But I'm sure looking into future tournaments, we're going to see them make some adjustments. Instead of smoking directly into top middle, something that they could do is you could smoke a little bit off, which blocks off that opper indeed. But it opens this spot up a little bit more, and it also will open up an avenue into a window. But those can be dealt with, mollies and smokes from other places. So we might see a different approach from SK moving forward. Regardless, my main thing that I wanted to state throughout this video is these entry deaths that SK are giving up, that's all fixable, guys. This isn't the problem that I thought I would see with SK. I think they're still fine when I watch them in the late game scenarios. I think Stewie's getting some good kills when I watch these demos. But yeah, if you watch these, this is a reoccurring theme time and time again. And you can't win halves when you have 5 rounds on a T half, 5 gun rounds where you have guns that you give up the opening kill. You just will not win those games. That is what separated SK from the rest of the scene, in my opinion, early last year and even early this year when SK was on top of their game. So I think we're going to see that change, obviously, over the next couple tournaments. And I'm going against the grain and saying SK will be back and better than ever. So I hope you guys enjoy. Yeah, I'd love to hear what your guys' thoughts are on what SK's form is actually too. So be sure to leave that in the comments. And yeah, stay tuned for more content. Peace, guys.